New American Liberty League. Listen, I know I don't have the face for videos or the voice for podcast. So to all three of you that are going to see this, I'm sorry. I am Daniel Leonardo Hernandez, D. Hearn. This is Emil Alexander Hernandez, my son, in whom I am well pleased. You know, it's easy for us to kind of give up on the youth, especially today's youth. But this guy, his friend group, they give me a lot of hope. They've really changed my mind in a lot of ways. He's 17, way more conservative or libertarian, way more than I was at his age. Business savvy, dude trades stocks. The dude trades stocks. When I was his age, I wanted a girlfriend. I wanted every girlfriend. My son wants a wife and a family. Much more godly than I was at his age. Much more into the word than I was at his age. Just real proud of this kid. What you know, me and him have had this conversation, but for a lot of you that are older than him, obviously, for a lot of you that are parents, how odd is it being in school nowadays? What are some of the things you have to go through and deal with that we didn't?
So for me, I think of certain things as odd, as like the pronouns, but a lot of it I grew up with. I think so it doesn't feel as odd, but I think the main thing different in my generation than y'all's in terms of school would have to be social media. Just how fast information gets passed around and kind of that overall thing. Today in my class, I actually thought of this. I was looking around class and just everybody was on their phones. We were all sitting right next to each other and no one was talking. And so I thought that was interesting. Though, thing that is odd and I find strange is kind of all of the pronoun stuff going on. Like you said the other day, one of Dallas's teachers, who is my younger brother...
No names, but that's okay, keep going.
Yeah, has a teacher that goes by different pronouns than what they actually are. So that part's strange. And also students do it as well. Like there will be 15-year-olds calling themselves different pronouns.
And with all that said, he actually goes to a fairly conservative school, especially by, it's actually a semi-private school, but especially by today's standards, he goes to a conservative school and still has to deal with these things that, man, when I was young, kids were mean. If we had social media, that'd have been a problem. So to be 17 and conservative, I know you stick out like a sore thumb in your school everywhere you go. The gym, anywhere you go. He doesn't go to Planet Fitness. Sponsor this half hour, Planet Fitness, come get donuts. So now we know the gym is only for right-wing extremists, but everywhere you go, you probably stand out being so conservative. How did you get, as a 17-year-old, how did you get to that point?
So a lot of it, I would have to say, started off when I was younger. A lot of it simply came from our talks, like in the car, when we would kind of just talk about life and different things going on in the world. I'd say I really started looking into it for myself around 8th grade. I would have been 14 at the time, 13, 14. And it actually started off a little bit from social media. I just started looking into it started off as Republican stuff. And I liked a lot of what was said, but then I realized none of the politicians really follow what the fan base wanted. So I found something called libertarianism, which seemed to flow a lot better with what I liked. And I found different people like Ayn Rand. I read her books like Anthem. I found people like Murray Rothbard, who was talking about the non-aggression principle, which I think when I found the non-aggression principle, that fully shifted me into more of a libertarian path. The whole principle just states anything that's non-aggressive and doesn't infringe on other people's rights basically should be legal. And when I heard that, I was like, that just makes a ton of sense. As long as I'm not bothering someone else, it should be legal. And yeah, what about you?
What do you mean, how I got to this point?
Yeah.
So growing up, our yaya, my yaya, which is our grandma, I think she taught me a lot without meaning to. She came here from Cuba. She left communism. So my young life, I heard about all the things she lost. She lived in a little fishing village called Kaibaran. I believe I'm saying that right. And she would always talk about something called fish eye soup. So, she went from having food and, being normal and, having a good life. What finally made her decide to leave was she was tired of eating something called fish eye soup, which after all the food restrictions and everything, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, whatever it is, they were eating leftover fish parts in their soup. So I grew up hearing these stories, and I just, I could get into that woman 1,000 times over. She is my base. Other than God, she is my core. Hearing those stories, I grew up not taking all this for granted, not taking America for granted. I don't know if I knew exactly what America even was, what the founding principles are, what the founders, of course I knew names, but it was 9/11 that actually made me want to study. I always thought America was invincible growing up. I was 18 when 9/11 happened, 19, whatever it was. That's what made me really want to research what all this was. That's what brought me to learn the Constitution, the founders. I remember at the time, and I would have to brush up on names, I remember getting so into it, I was even reading some of the people the founders read. Some mostly French from the French Revolution. So that's kind of what made me fall in love with the Republic as it was meant to be. And it's also what saddens me to see how far removed we are from it. And it's dangerous. I know we talk all the time. You talk about especially for your age, your generation. I mean, it's already catching us, but your age, your generation, your kids. I know we talk a lot about the national debt. Do you think that's the biggest threat to America? How did we get here? What do you think about it? And is there, at this point, any solution?
Yeah, I have to say it's at least in the top 3 biggest threats to America. Possibly number 1. Is there a solution? I mean, you could throw out different solutions. I'm sure one solution that I think would work, and we've talked about this before, is simply if government managed to cut spending. But for that solution to work, politicians would actually want to make things better, which we know they likely don't. They want power, not to make things better. Another solution would be go to another currency all around, one that's backed by gold and silver.
Which is constitutional.
Yeah.
Which is what it used to be.
And the third solution is... Yeah, there is no third. That's...
Somehow you have to bring... I think you have to bring inflation down, which we know is from government spending. We know is from the welfare handouts. We know is from our currency. Our currency went from being backed by gold and silver, then petroleum dollar. Now
it's an IOU.
It's an IOU. Every bill they print, we owe. What is it now?
$34 trillion.
34 trillion. That's not a real number. A trillion is not a real number. A human, yeah, some businesses are worth that. Some corporations, we get it. Economies are worth that. We get it. But a human cannot grasp what $1 trillion is, what $1 trillion is of anything. Think in your head $1 trillion of something. It's
You
not,
almost can't fathom a million of something.
a human. Yeah, exactly. A million's hard to.
Yeah.
So $1 trillion's almost impossible to comprehend. We owe 34 of those. It's not a real number.
It's impossible to pay back. It's yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible. Somebody,
So we'd always be in some level of debt.
which is a scary place. If you look through history, you know about this. Places like Rome. I mean, it was inflation that destroyed them in the long run, weakened them at least.
Made it to where they couldn't pay for their soldiers. Their soldiers stopped being able to eat food and stuff like that. And that was even after. So they went from a strong backed currency, and slowly they kind of did what we did, where they made their currency
Less and less.
less and less.
Yeah.
At first, I think they started making their units smaller, right? Mm-hmm. Like how we switched from the penny
Yes.
being copper to zinc.
Right, to whatever it is now.
Yeah.
I heard it actually costs more to make a penny
It does.
than the penny is
It
value.
costs 2 cents to make a penny, which is the dumbest thing
That's
ever.
it's unbelievable, and it's sad. You know, it's sad to. You know, I'm a capitalist. I love to see money flow. I love to see people making money, but it's sad when. You know, you almost have to be rich to afford a house, or you have to go into debt for the rest of your life to afford a home.
30 years. That is unbelievable. Back in
Unbelievable.
the day, that did not used to be a thing. You would have a house and like a 5-acre lot and be middle class.
Right, and one person could afford it. A man
Yeah.
could go to work. Now, a lot of people say, I've heard this argument, it makes sense. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Don't kick me off yet. A lot of people say women going into the workforce actually made things more expensive because now companies realize they could, you know, you're charging 2 incomes instead of 1, whatever. Either way, at one time, one man could go to work and provide for a family, home and all. And it's not like that no more. And the scary part, what I think is the most dangerous part, definitely that, but bigger picture. I mean, bigger picture, the most dangerous part is how far removed we are from God as a nation. But I'll stay on topic. Bigger picture is that I believe a lot of this is being done on purpose. I don't know where you are on that. Maybe some of it is just incompetence.
I don't think so. You don't get here by being incompetent. You get here by people over generations. It's not a new thing, wanting more and more power.
Yes.
You can look much farther than this. You can start at the early 1900s and already tell corruption was big with the Federal Reserve and things like that. But you can almost go back even to the 1800s, like mid 1800s, a little bit early, and start already seeing signs of a government that was bound to get too big.
Yeah. And you bring it a little more modern day. You got the income tax, the 16th Amendment. Then you got FDR and the Great Society. Was it FDR, the Great Society? And LBJ had one that was very similar, but expanded it through the roof. The thing is what LBJ is, it was a plan. It was a plan to addict people to government for votes. So, you know, and I think, you know, fast forward that, how successful that was. I think you take the real threat to this country is the globalists, the leftists we don't see, the NWO, not Hollywood Hogan NWO, the, hey, we're going to be over here building bunkers, hope you enjoy your crickets. You know, there's a lot of protein in crickets. Matter of fact, if you eat crickets all day and have a couple cricket protein shakes, you could maybe get 17 grams of protein in a day. So that NWO, the faces we don't know. Of course, there's names and faces we know, but it's the faces we don't know, the money we don't see. That I don't know if they are in partnership with the left in America. Are they the left in America? I'm not sure exactly how it all started, how it all tied together. But those people are the real threat, and I think they saw how powerful it is to addict people. And you know, I'm going back to LBJ, but even like he said before that, it's powerful when you addict people to government. It's a powerful thing. So you make things unaffordable.
Take away the dads from the houses.
Take dad out of the house. Take God out of the house. And you're left with people that are easy to control. You're left with boys that have no man to look up to. And mothers are great at raising boys. And this is not to take anything away from single mothers. They're great at raising children. But you need a man. You need to see a good man to learn how to be a man. And those, I think, man, we could cover this. We could cover this all day. But the fact that a lot of this, and going back to the national debt, it goes to the same thing. A lot of this stuff is being done on purpose, for power, for control, to addict people to the state. Now, up until 2020, I think up until 2020, we always knew there was fraud. How many dead people have voted Democrat for, we always knew there was fraud. Something changed in 2020. Something dangerously changed. Now, whether they're going to be able to get away with that forever, who knows? But Democrats, the left, in order to have that power, in order to be able to addict people to government more and more, you also have to win elections. And they've done really good at that, whether the numbers are fair or not.
I mean, a blatantly obvious rigging of an election happened in 2020. And if you look back in history, that's not even the first time Democrats have done it. Now, that's the most absurd time where it shouldn't have even been close in terms of numbers. But you can look back at JFK. JFK, his dad had ties to the mafia, and he won Chicago off that, right?
Well, won Chicago, which through Chicago allowed him to win Illinois, which put him over the top. And boy, you speak of an overrated president. We'll get into that later too. So it's you could cover so many things that are dangerous. The border, how out of control things are all over the world.
How out of whack people's hormones are due to food and different things.
There's a hormone crisis in America. We try to label it with, this kid got this kid got that woman has this, is it? No, a lot of times you're right. It goes back to hormones. Which is our food source. A lot of it's because our food source, our medicines. There's a 1,000 things going wrong in this country. But to me, at the core of all that is we're moving away from God, and there are people doing this on purpose. And some of our politicians, maybe most, are in bed with it. Matter of fact, you look at all the thing going on with the Biden family. Everybody knows they've been corrupt forever. But how much of our White House does China own and run? And that's the scary thing. And then that's going to be all those elites that we don't know, we don't see. Those people, to me, are the real threat. And I don't know now.
I think there's a bigger threat than that to America. When our founders founded America, it was known that the government would become big and corrupt. Thomas Jefferson talked about how the tree of liberty would have to be filled with the blood of tyrants and patriots. The biggest threat to America is not the people who are actively against it, but it's the people who sit by idly and watch without saying anything.
Yeah. Or without even doing anything.
Without doing anything.
Yeah. As far left or progressive, whatever you want to call it, as America has been pushed, we, people like us, over generations, have to look ourselves in the mirror because we let it happen. Our founders left us every tool to not let it happen, and it's got this far. It's kind of in our nature. We want to be left alone. We want people out of our business. We want to be out of people's business. But now that we realize how important it is, now that we realize maybe it's truly time to fight, they've been fighting. They've been fighting us for generations and generations.
A war we didn't know we were in.
And those are the most dangerous kind. And now, is it too late, other than an act of God? Is it too late? I believe, let me put it like this. I believe it's too late to save the map. I believe you have to get the idea of the map of America out of your head. That's gone. When you stop caring about that and you start caring about saving the republic, saving what it is to be America and American, there's been a civil war before. 600,000 Americans died. Speaking of overrated presidents,
Yeah.
There is no more United Nation. We're not united.
You look at the place like Florida and California, you're looking at two completely different.
Two completely different. There's no way that this can persist on. There's two solutions. There's one solution. We're going to split as a nation at some point. The map is going to look different. Blue states, red states, however it looks different. It's either going to happen at some point. I don't know what I'm talking about. 50, 100 years, who knows? It's going to happen through violence, or it's going to happen through peace. What exactly that looks like, who knows? But I would much rather it be done now, peacefully, and you have two separate countries that are close, that could work together, that do share a lot of common values, but you got to give the people and the governments that are so far apart options.
They could be like Florida, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana. I mean, just kind of take that small little region.
That's it.
Bottom, south, right. And we just go back to the regular constitution. Like, we just revert. We have a complete, we're going back to this. Y'all guys keep doing y'all.
The republic, constitutional republic, states of America. Call it whatever you want.
And we could still be on good ties with America as we know it today. If you look at the British in America throughout history, even though there was a revolution and all, they still kept good ties. Well, if you discount the War of 1812. But
we got our ass kicked, by the way.
Yeah. If you exclude that, we still trade with Britain. We still work together in wars.
And if you look at what's going on with the border, look at what just happened. You had to have states, southern states, border states, step in to take care of what our leftist government refused to take care of, the border. So the seeds are already there. And I would love to see, you take someone like DeSantis. I know he got plans for the White House. He could do it at the same time, 2028, whatever it is. You take someone like DeSantis that is a doer, that knows the Constitution, that is a governor, so he knows how to work with the states. Take someone like him, not him, I'm just using him as an example. Take someone like him, and you could make it he could be the face of that movement, and the ones that's really ironing out the details, what it would look like to do it peaceful. Because like I said, eventually it's going to happen. Now let's get into some just a few current events, a few things going on in the news. But first we got some sponsors. Converse, First School. Sorry we went woke, but the 86 weapons ain't no joke. Lincoln, what a luxury car should be. Sorry we stopped making the town car and we refuse to put suicide doors on anything, but we're what a luxury car should be. All right, now some things in the news. Let's see, who do you think will be, and who would you like to see Trump pick as VP?
So I'll get off started with who I think he will pick first. I think he's going to pick Tim Scott. That is the way it seems to be looking when he talks about him. It seems like that's going to be the VP choice. Now, I think there was better choices out there. I think Vivek would have been good. Ron DeSantis to set up 2028 would have been a really smart choice. And this is just like an oddball. In an ideal fantasy land, Rand Paul would have been a amazing choice.
Yeah, on any ticket.
Yeah.
On any ticket. I think both what I think and what I would like to see. Don't count out DeSantis, because I truly don't think he's interested in being VP. Things didn't get nasty with him and Trump in the primary. Things didn't get that nasty. I thought they would if DeSantis stayed in it longer. I think it would have. Things didn't get nasty between the two. It seems like they came together just like that, kind of water under the bridge. They haven't seemed really close. And I don't think DeSantis is necessarily interested in being VP. But I think for Trump, it would be a great fit. What DeSantis is interested in is running in 28. And this would be, like you said, this would be the perfect segue. He would almost be guaranteed to be the candidate at that point. So I think don't count out DeSantis. And I think also something we're missing here about this VP talk, and I don't know where you stand on this. I never thought it was going to be Biden in 2024. Other than a rigged election, he wouldn't be in there now. He was a corpse then. He's more of a corpse now. The dude's he's a corpse. He's a puppet. He's gone. Unless the Democrats really believe there's no winning 2024. And you can't get rid of Biden. He's not going to win anyway. We're not going to win. We don't have the numbers. Run them. Let's get him out of here. If they do think there's a chance, and a lot of our side doesn't agree with me on this, but what if they do think there's a chance? Who would give them an instant chance?
Kamala Harris.
Would be Harris. I hate to say it. We know who the Democratic Party is. We know what they look for. No qualifications matter. We know what matters. She's a minority female. It is what it is. Just that. You don't have to hear one place where she is. Just that is going to get her a ton of votes. And I believe she could win an election. So I think in this VP talk, maybe something we should talk about more is who would be her choice. You know, would it be Newsom from California? I think at some point we better at least start thinking about who would be on her list at some point. Something else I want to
that
talk.
is an awful ticket to vote on. Trump and Tim Scott versus Kamala Harris and whoever. Wow, there was no good choice in that election.
I'm going to tell you that Harris Newsom ticket is boy, do not count it out, dude. If you know the left, do not count it out. That unfortunately, that could be a winning ticket.
I think Newsom would actually be a smart VP just because Newsom can actually speak to a crowd. Kamala Harris cannot speak. They would have to have a campaign without speaking. Newsom can actually speak to people. He's terrible in politics.
Kamala Harris just has to be seen. She just has to be seen. She don't have to speak. Very little. She just has to be who she is, what she is. And Newsom he's likable. He's wait a minute. I'm getting a text here. Hold on. Speaking of Newsom being likable. Oh, Sean Hannity. Hey guys, it's Sean Hannity, guys. He says, "Hey guys, I like Newsom too, but hey, my show doesn't start till 3. Can you remind everybody that I have a sensei? He fights. Did you know?
Oh,
Have you ever listened to a show? You may have missed it. But Newsom's a likable guy, and I think that could be a very underrated. I think we could be sleeping on that ticket and how dangerous and winnable it could be. The other thing that was in the news, Emil, is maybe this is just us. Maybe it's people like us. When government comes out and says almost anything, especially this current administration, it's almost my reaction not to trust it. You got what's going on in Ukraine. You got the Tucker interview, which was amazing. I think, Tucker has this nervous laugh that's driving me crazy ever since CNN. But the interview and Putin, he's an interesting guy. I'm not saying he's a good guy. Although, sometimes you hear where his thoughts was about NATO and Ukraine and how he went in there, the way he fights, He's an animal. We all know that. But boy, think about
In
it.
a bad way. An
In a bad
animal
way.
in
Animal in a bad way.
Yeah.
Think about if it was America in his shoes and the USSR was, look what happened when they put weapons on Cuba. You know, Russia, even though the Cold War is over, NATO still acts and looks at them the same. So anyway, that was an amazing interview. So you got what's going on in Ukraine, you got the interview, and then all of a sudden, which I don't see any, unless it's part of the plan, I didn't see any reason for this. All of a sudden, our government's coming out talking about Putin has the ability to shoot satellites out of the sky.
Which we didn't already know. Like, who wouldn't?
Who
of
didn't?
course.
We figured it.
Yeah.
We figured. I figured China does too. I figured we could do the same to them.
Yeah.
Now, so right away when I heard that,
It sounded like fear mongering to me.
it was fishy.
Yeah.
How many days later was it that all of a sudden there's a cell outage?
Not just in America. The day before, it happened in Israel, right? So, yeah, the coincidence of that was very interesting. The other thing I found interesting on that was it wasn't all of the AT&T people. It was like half. Which I feel like if the towers went down, it would be everybody.
Yeah, to me, Putin is a very convenient bad guy. You put out these rumors like, hey, Putin's can't wait to shoot down our satellites, and all of a sudden we get a big outage like that. It seems a lot like a test run. Seems like throwing some things out there. And also look at every end of the world movie lately. Like, is this just a coincidence? Every end of the world movie lately has started with outages. And the news is breaking, hey, we got this outage, and then the TV blares up, and next thing you know, the TV, you're not even getting TV footage. Yeah, sometimes, boy, it's hard to trust this government. It's hard to trust governments in general.
Yeah, that's not an American thing.
That's not an
Governments worldwide are hard to trust. And that's, I mean, once again, talking about history, that is nothing recent at all. You look back at, like, Rome, for example. I think it was Rome. You give people bread in a circus, and they'll never revolt against you.
There you go. And think about it. If say we ever did come to the point where the people finally had enough, not January 6th had enough. That was, come on,
Terrible.
We're overthrowing the government without one gun.
Yeah, you have to do better than that if you're going to make a difference.
Can we stop talking about January 6th already? There's some people in there taking selfies. Now listen, I want to be the first to say I was excited January 6th. I was like, finally, we got some balls. And
then nothing came out.
And it was nothing. Not only was it nothing, come to find out, it seems like it was a lot of the alphabet organizations, the FBI and this and that, that were, and the left, of course, that were pressing and facilitating a lot of what we saw. And when the footage was released with the shaman being led around and praying with the Capitol Police, I mean, come on. If you're upset about that insurrection, wait till we get serious.
Yeah.
And then see how you look back on January 6th.
They didn't just set up that one. You look a little bit before that at the Black Lives Matter stuff, protests with Antifa.
Yep.
There was stuff about them laying bricks out.
Paying people to be there, laying out bricks. Yeah, So if you look at things like that, and like we talked about earlier, at some point this nation may have to split, but peaceful or otherwise. The first thing they're going to do to our side, they're going to cut things like this. We're not going to be the social media. That's done. They're going to they shadow ban us anyway. When they really want to, we're done with this. They're going to cut us being able to communicate. They're going to cut social media, and they're going to cut our funds. Make sure you always have cash. Always have cash on you. Banks are great till they're not.
And skills. When that happens, there's going to have to be people on our side who knows how to make all of those things, who knows how to make cell towers, who knows how to do different things. That's also why it's important to have businesses that are on our side and not just all left.
Yep. And I actually, Write this down, Emil. I actually got a guy who, good friend of ours. I'm not going to say no names, but he has this huge list. He has this huge list of who these companies are and who they are alternatives to. Let's see if at some point maybe we could get him to talk about some of that. And just write a little reminder. And anyway, it's good. Pray to God if you're ever prepared for anything like that. It never happens, but it's always good. Have some food, have some antibiotic, have arms, have some kind of plan. Hopefully you got 100 gallons of water saved up that you don't have to brush your teeth with, but just in case. And so the other thing, this is actually breaking yesterday. Mitch McConnell. you like Mitch McConnell?
No, absolutely terrible.
Terrible. So finally, Mitch McConnell he had enough a million and 10 years ago, but finally he says in November he's stepping down.
Schuma should also step down. Chuck Schuma. If you ever heard of something called the Schuma box, it's on credit cards. He proposed that when he was a senator in 1964 or 1967. It's ridiculous.
Wasn't that? It's good. We don't need term limits.
There should absolutely be term limits on Congress.
I think our founders didn't include term limits because they wanted us to stay involved. In a lot of ways, they wanted the people to be the checks and balances. We have
not done that at all.
Not done that. We have zoned out. We don't care. The average voter, they couldn't tell you who Mitch McConnell is. It's time. It's time. Just because the people have let our founders down so much, it's time for term limits. It's past time.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell stepping down. An interesting thing happened the other day that kind of flew under the radar. If you know anything about Mitch McConnell, his wife, there has always been rumors of Russian ties. Maybe only second to the Bidens. Beautiful family, by the way. Great fathers throughout that family. Sometimes I really wish you were a crackhead. I like you. You're a good son. But if you could smoke a little bit of crack now,
it would make me better.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Second to the Bidens, a lot of people have tied Mitch McConnell to China. His sister-in-law, which is the and listen, this is complete. This is me not trusting government or Mitch or pretty much anyone in DC. So take it with a grain of salt. Is that the same?
Yeah.
Okay. So take it with that. His sister-in-law, I don't even know when. This just happened a week ago, a few days ago. Died in a car crash. Rest her soul. Don't know the woman. She, I didn't know this either, is the CEO of a shipping company that was owned and started by Mitch McConnell's wife. A few days later, Mitch McConnell says, hey, I'm out of here in November. And listen, just like the Putin thing, some things feel fishy. Some things, especially with government, they don't fit right. They don't feel right. And I don't know. To me, this is an interesting thing. I try to Google, which we need to get away from also. I try to Google some things about this car wreck, details, pictures. No, I couldn't find anything. Not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I could not find. I found stories about it, but I couldn't find anything about the actual crash itself. And like I said, take it with a grain of salt. I just don't trust government. Who do you have any names? And I know this is early on. He says November. Hopefully it happens before that. What senators would you like to see, even in consideration for that? You mentioned one earlier.
Yeah, Rand Paul would have to be my number one pick. He won't get chosen. The Republican Party is way too soft.
Yes, for sure. Garbage.
Thomas Massie is on the better end of the Republican Party. I think he would stand a chance of getting it. With that being said, he when it came to like January 6th and stuff, he kind of folded on
All
that.
of them did.
Yeah.
All of them sounded like Democrats on January 7th, January and all of them folded. Thank God that exposed. I'm gonna get back to what you're saying. I agree, great picks. Thank God that exposed who Mike Pence was, because right now, had just say everything was legit. Trump had won 2020 like he was supposed to, like he did. Right now, we would be running.
Trump, Pence.
It would just be Pence. Had Trump won, it would be Pence.
Oh, yeah.
Pence would be our nominee, which is why you have to always be worried about the Republican Party. You know, a lot of we like to call soft Republicans rhinos, Republicans in name only. But I say this: conservatives, limited government, constitutional conservatives, we are in fact the rhinos. This has always been a centrist party. It's always been a big government party. Other than this amazing man behind me, Warren G. Hardie, you go back to the 20s, 30s, things felt a little different.
But you go to the inception, the first thing they did was cause a massive civil war, and then
that's pretty big government. That's slightly big government, and yes, compared to the Democrat Party, a million times better. But look, if you take Trump, and I haven't looked any of this up. This is just a thought. Not that Trump isn't 1 million times better than Biden. To call him a conservative is a little bit of a stretch. But just take the party in general. Take Trump. Let's say Trump. Take Trump now. Take Bill Clinton in the 90s. Yeah, you got a lot of overuse of the FBI. You got Waco. You got Elian Gonzalez.
Waco was terrible.
Take those few outliers out, and just compare where Clinton was and what he was talking about and how he sounded to Trump.
If you look at his finances, Clinton beat Trump.
More conservative. Yeah, you'll say Newt Gingrich. A lot of people will credit to the Republican Party then. But man, the Republican Party consistently moves left because they always have been and always will be a centrist party. If you're a conservative, like I said, limited government, constitutional conservative, like what I consider myself, we are the rhinos. Could we slowly take the party over from the Mitch McConnells? Yeah. But the history of the Republican Party, the Republicans now, it's a centrist party. It's not our party.
I don't think we take over DC. I think we take over maybe certain small local governments, possibly a governor spot here and there.
Which it seems like we have.
You look at Kristi Noem, Governor Kristi Noem, she
would be
could definitely run as libertarian, and you wouldn't like...
Yeah, but the thing, just like Rand, Rand, he considers himself a libertarian, but you also got to know where the money is.
That's what I was saying.
Where the backing is,
But they call themselves Republican.
Right.
But if they call themselves Libertarian, their views would still hold the same.
Right. It's conservative. It's people like that are truly, despite how much we love to throw rhino around, it's us that are really the Republicans in name only. I would like to see actually. He wouldn't be my first pick. This is more of a realistic pick. He was a good governor. He's a doer. I think he's a fighter. I would like to see Rick Scott in that position. I think he would be a good pick. You're on the team. Are you an enemy or are you a witness? Team Hearn Fitness sponsor this half hour. Oh, Disney.
He has the wristband on.
Disney's a sponsor of this half hour. We got some big sponsors for being our first show. Yeah. I don't even know what this is. What is this? A video, a podcast? What is this?
Talk show.
Whatever. For being our first show, we got some huge sponsors. Disney's a sponsor this half hour, and they said, "You think you hate us now? Wait till we have a pregnant prince." So I think that'll get them a lot of. This audience will go stream Disney. Let your kids watch Disney. They'll be the boys. Barbie.
Yay, instantly.
Instantly. It's great. Disney, way to go, Disney. You know, the sad thing is I love Disney. I love the Magic Kingdom. I got great memories with my kids there, great memories with my wife there. It's
You got you
engaged.
proposed
Yeah,
there,
I mean,
yeah.
it's a sad thing. Let's talk a little bit. I mentioned earlier that you actually trade some stocks. Let's talk a little bit about financial things, some stocks. You made some money off of a stock this week, which was actually you're the one that put me on it. Now you sold already. I went half and half. I sold half. I held on to the other half. What company is that? What companies are you invested in, and what companies are you watching?
Yeah, so the company you talked about that I sold earlier this week was called SoundHound, and we found the stock at like $1, and I got 100% return. He's probably a bit over that because it went up even after I sold. And I tend to try not to invest in companies I don't like in general. SoundHound was an AI company that does voice stuff, which I thought was pretty interesting. I mean, AI could in the future become a danger, but for now, with the times, it so far hasn't.
Money is money.
Yeah. The other company that I invest in is UAVS, which is a drone company. Atosa, which is trying to cure breast cancer.
Which we already made some great money off of. We found another one he put me on. Found Atosa when it was I think $1.68.
Yeah,
and it skyrocketed after some phase one news to $8 or $9. We sold, made some great money. Again, the kids sold it all. I did half and half, and now I'm bag holding. So, but I still think it's a good company. You know, the thing with AI, we've already lost it. AI is left wing as can be. How did that happen so fast? It's gone. It's already left wing as can be. Pretty soon we're going to have to fight back against AI like we do now on social media. That's gone. With that said,
it also runs so quick.
So quick. But right now, the stocks to be in seem all AI related. I've been doing really good with NVIDIA. I got into NVIDIA early, sold it too early, made money, got back in it, still holding that. Actually, I need to check that today. But yeah, you get these companies like anything connected to right now, and NVIDIA. You got I also like what is a good AI play. I think in the future, I like Intel. It's also a dividend stock, so I'm kind of heavy into Intel right now. I like where Walmart is going. They said they've been using a lot of AI for advertisement. I think they're going to compete really hard with Amazon, which is another one I'm holding right now. But I think their e-commerce play and buying Vizio and things like that. Also the split, you can pick them up right now for $60. They just had a split. I think Walmart is a good play. I also got one for you, Emil. And we are not. Hey, listen, we are not experts. Matter of fact, listen to us. You'll probably go broke. And you agree with that?
Yeah.
You're broke no time.
Most of my stock picks we sell way too late.
way too late, way too early. Our timing sucks.
Our picks are typically good. Our timing's
terrible. So if you are prepping for the end of the world, there you go. You could go broke. You have some water.
Yeah.
You know, you have probably some canned tuna. You know, so if you listen to us and go broke, you're good. You got some chicken noodle soup or whatever. So don't listen to us. We are not experts. We've done good though. Oh, by the way, shout out to Moderna. Now my son says he likes to buy a company that I found Moderna at $22. Made money at 400. Made money on the way down. No, I didn't sell it all at 490. I don't know what I was thinking. Whatever. Timing was bad again. Still made great money on it. The other thing about Moderna is, you know, the only people still getting these boosters. What are we on now? 78. I think there's 78 boosters now. The only people still getting boosters are the extreme left. So I really think we should all fund and support Moderna. They are doing. Would I get the jab? No. Did you get the jab? No. I'm not suggesting the jab. I'm just saying let's invest heavily in Moderna. That's not what I said. Let's invest heavily in Moderna.
I probably wouldn't invest in Moderna just because I do disagree with the company, but
money's money.
Yeah.
listen, what I wanted to say was one thing moving forward to watch. A lot of people look at Bitcoin as a hedge against bad markets. So if you think a bad market is coming, a lot of people throw money into Bitcoin, almost like gold, like how a lot of people used to use gold.
It also works on a pattern, like a time pattern. A lot of stocks tend to do this. Bitcoin really does this, where it'll go under to about like 18 grand, little under 20, and then like clockwork, it'll shoot back up again. Back under 20, shoot back up again. It's a really easy
seems
thing
to rinse and
follow.
repeat. But what I will say is, getting closer to the election, if the polls stay the same, if it looks like Trump is a shoo-in, and I don't even have one, I'm gonna have to do some research and get back to next show and whatever we're gonna do next. I don't even know. I'm gonna do some research. If things are looking good for Trump going through summer, going into the election, I'm probably going to find out what a inverse of Bitcoin is. I just could see that Bitcoin having one of those turnarounds,
Especially because it's at its pretty
It's
close
so
to
high
its
right
peak.
now.
It's at
Yeah.
like 50 grand.
and
right
it
now.
may go higher. There's a lot of
It's past
uncertainty
60.
right now in the market, so it may go higher. It may go higher than usual. But if things are looking good for Trump, me personally, I'm going to find a Bitcoin inverse. Speaking of what we said we were going to try to keep it short. Speaking of that, what exactly are we doing here? Are we going to do this every 2 weeks, every month? Have we got any future plans? What do you think, Emil?
Yeah, so I was thinking we host kind of a big one like this every 2 weeks. It would be on like the 1st and then like the 14th, 15th or so. And then we could have like mini ones, like 5-minute shows. If something like the Mitch McConnell thing happens, where we give our initial thoughts, then when we get closer to the big one, we'd have more research and could say a more analyzed, in-depth thing on that.
So almost like something with breaking news. By the way, New American Liberty League. Go to the page. There's the main page.
The Facebook is what
Facebook. There's a YouTube. That's where this is going to end up. There's a Wilmington page. There's a Jersey Shore, PA page. There's a Chicago page. Just good. If you like shadow banned pages that get like 4 views on every post, this is the one for you. If you want to be one of 4 or 5 followers, but solid followers, find the New American Liberty League page. I would also like what we talked about earlier, maybe once in a while, if we have certain subjects that we bring up,
we could get guests on.
That would be good. Also, if one of the 4 of you, if any of you have any questions, things you'd like our thoughts about, you want to tell us we sucked, you want to tell us we did good, whatever it is, you got questions, anything, get in touch with us on the page. And in the following episode.
Yeah, episode.
Yeah. We're going to go episode? The following video, we'll answer that. God bless you. Thanks for listening. We are the New American Liberty League.
Saving the Republic one video at a time.